Oh man, I tell you, that expense
the
report
old
was
grind.
tough.
Am I right? Mondays.
So happy to have lunch going on, man. I got
we have
myself a
lunch.
little bag of chips.
Ooh,
you know?
I got a point salad.
Ooh.
Bits.
Prop comedy.
Brothers Murph's got bits. We're essentially the Carrot Top of board games. That's probably not a good way. Stay. Please don't leave. Please don't leave just because we said
We're going to get jacked later in our career. You're going to see.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nick.
I'm Mike.
We're the Brothers Murph. Today, we're going to talk about our top 10 games to play on lunch break. Now, I will say, Mikey, we had a very hard time making this list because we had so many games. So we're going to throw out a little challenge to y'all watching this. If this video gets 1,200, that's a lot, 1,200 upvotes,
Let's do it.
We'll do a part 2, and maybe we'll do a part 3 down the line because we had like 30-ish games. It was really, really hard to pare down this list. So we'd love to do another one. Hit that like button, please. We really, really would appreciate it.
Drop a comment with your favorite lunch break game, maybe one that you're playing while watching this. So before we get underway, we're gonna add a couple caveats. One, we're gonna assume that you have like a 30-minute lunch break.
Yeah, or you have 30 minutes after talking to your friends. And
right, so that's gonna be kind of the idea of the game length for these. And we're also gonna assume that you can't just keep your game set up in between
like
lunches.
Indefinitely. You could play TI4 on a lunch break if you
had
did it
enough
for like
time.
2 months.
Yeah, so these are games that you're gonna be able to set up, play, take down, and keep it contained to one lunch break.
Indeed, indeed. All right, let's go ahead and get number 10.
So number 10 is a game, if you just like want to get the attention of your coworkers, this will do it, because certainly someone's going to say like, what are you doing?
I'm building a planet.
You're like, what? Is like, is that why you're holding this weird, I guess, 12-sided giant magnetic die? So in Planet, it's a game from Blue Orange where you are affixing these magnetic triangle pieces that will have some amount of land types on them, and you're trying to build, well, depending on the cards, a bunch of separate groups of like ocean, for example, or one big old desert, but you're working in this 3D strange
because these
puzzle.
magnets have different terrains on them, like mountain, water, snow.
And the way that they work and how they're attached will create varying landscapes.
You're trying to collect these animal cards. These animal cards will want a certain amount of terrain. So it might be like whoever has like the most separate forest habitats on their planet
wins that card
when it scores. And so basically you're trying to build this in the way that you can get these scoring cards, and then you have your own personal like objective. And again, this one's kind of a weird choice for this, but one, I do honestly think it's a really fun game, a really fun 3D puzzle that pretty much everyone can understand and get behind.
Right.
And on top of that, this is one of the games like we're all about evangelizing. I know you're just like us. You're like, okay, how can I corrupt the masses and make them play board games with me? And this is a good way to do it because it's going to stop people in their tracks to be like, what are you doing? What is this?
It's got some novelty to it with like the magnetic pieces and the 3D-ness of it all, and I think that novelty can work wonders for like bringing people in. And it's not like
a good game.
A beige thing on a table that no one's gonna even think twice about.
And it's a cool theme. It's got a cool implementation, and it's a fun game. Planet's number 10. It's cool. Number 9 could really be many different things. We're choosing Rajas of the Ganges, the Dice Charmers. This is the roll and write version of Rajas of the Ganges, and we say it could be a number of things because really a lot of roll and writes can fit here well because roll and writes tend to be pretty simple, tend to be pretty quick, and a lot of times can house a lot of people. So sometimes they're like infinite. You can play with an infinite amount of people as long as everyone has a sheet. And so our favorite roll and write right now is Rajas of the Ganges, Dice Charmers. Also, this is a bit of a heavier roll and write.
That's why we chose it for our list. We're like, you know what? If you want to get into something that gives you like the feeling of a chunkier, bigger game, this is a good way to do that in a quick amount of time.
And getting that feeling in 30 minutes is tough, you know? So this is a way to kind of do that.
Yeah, the combo-tastic nature of Raja's Dice is what keeps us coming back. It's so fun to chain off all these different effects. There's a lot to kind of chew on and everything. It is a bit bigger, so it's not gonna be like the easiest thing to maybe teach someone who's not as much of a board gamer. But like if you want that bigger feeling in a short amount of time, highly recommend Raja's Dice.
Other things, if you want other options, like Railroad Inc.'s a really good one. Flip the Dice game is a really good one. You can play like
Cartographers, if you want, can play any amount of people.
Cartographers, lots of different roll and writes. Our favorite right now is Rajas of the Ganges, Rajas of the Ganges, the Dice game. It's so much fun. We really love Rajas, and we love this roll and write version of it.
Absolutely, that's why it's number 9. Let's get to number 8. Number 8 is if you want to get on the same page as your coworkers and play some Wavelength.
Or find out that you're terrible coworkers and y'all should
that you don't agree on what is or is not a sandwich, for example. So this game we love because it's kind of a get into the brain of your teammate or teammates kind of game. And the main thing we love about Wavelength is it fosters such interesting discussions. The last time we played this, we got very into whether or not Pyrex the Tupperware is valuable or not.
Yeah.
And that goes into like, well, it's not a Rolex, it's not like worth a ton of money, but its everyday use in the house is incredibly valuable.
I think it was low quality to high quality. And my whole thing was like, Pyrex is the high quality of Tupperware.
For what it is.
Again, someone was like, but it's not like a Lamborghini. I'm like, I know, but within the Tupperware world, it's great. Wavelength is a game where you'll be getting some kind of barometer like that, like high quality to low quality, hot to cold, boring to exciting.
Some sort of,
something like
opposed.
that. And the person who's giving the clue is going to get a number somewhere in there. It could be a 1 to 14. So 14 would be like super high valuable Pyrex. And then 0 would be nothing, which would be, I guess, like a crappy plastic bag.
Sure.
Or something like that. And then you have to give a clue that points to that number, and then your team has to guess what number it is.
And they're trying to guess, like, what are you thinking is something, like,
and that's where so much of it comes down to. It's like, in what context is this clue? That Pyrex clue is a context within the world of food storage, not within the world as a whole, but that's where so much of the discussion comes in. This is also a team game. It's very, very easy to teach. Yeah. It's a team game, so you can get on teams. You can be like accounting versus those people.
HR?
I don't know.
We don't have real jobs.
We don't have real. This is what we do for a living. Our jobs aren't real. No. But nonetheless, it's a really, really fun game. A lot of party games could work. But yeah, Wavelength is just such a good one. It's just because
you'll have an ongoing conversation the rest of the day.
Yes.
And to me, that is super exciting. Where
and
like everyone gets in their corners about like, no, I'm right about this. And like I think that's super exciting. It's always hilarious.
Yeah.
And like and you can play one round, you can play it to the 10 points or whatever you're supposed to, but like it's a very flexible game. Yeah. So I really dig that one. Just for fun. You'll always come away with like a new way of understanding people, for better or worse.
You think that's expensive? Wow. Shows a lot about you.
Indeed. That's number 8, Wavelength. Nick, you know what? Sometimes it's only Monday and you're wishing it was Friday. And luckily with this game named Friday, every day can be Friday. This is a solo game.
But this Friday is terrible. You just die a lot.
Yeah, but you're not at work. You're on an island, and that's a vacation. Last time I checked.
Solo games are great for lunch breaks because say you just want to have some alone time at lunch break. I know a lot of times on my lunch break, I would just like read.
You're trying to decompress a little.
I'm trying to decompress. I'm trying to not people right now. And so a nice solo game is really, really great. And Friday is a very difficult one.
It's a very difficult one where you are playing as the character Friday, trying desperately to keep Robinson Crusoe alive because Robinson Crusoe is not very skilled at things. You're teaching them how to live.
How to live.
I love this because like this is the game that I would bring to work with me in solo. Back when I worked at a children's museum, I would go out into the park and stuff and like play a quick round. I would lose and eat my lunch and stuff. And it was just such a great experience. I love the challenge of this game. I love how difficult it is. I love kind of trying out strategies of like how many cards do I call and in what order and what do I want to prioritize. And it's just a fun little card-driven puzzle, type of game that you will lose more often than you don't. Because
here's the thing.
It's luck you're drawing cards.
It's a great one if you hate your job because after you play it, you're like, well, my life's not as bad as this. So
yeah, I didn't get eaten by a snake last time I checked, so that's great.
Yes,
and then you go into work with a new pep in your step and maybe skills of survival.
Yeah, it's true. Stuff. You can make fire out of sticks.
So if you don't have someone that you want to play with and stuff and you want to get dreams toward the weekend, I would highly recommend playing Friday because it'll either whisk you away for a while, or it'll remind you that your life ain't so bad. And both of those things are wins, and that's why it is on our list.
How good is that? Yes, indeed. Let's get to the next one. Number 6 is kind of one of the bigger games. We were struggling trying to find like a heavier game in 30 minutes.
Fillers,
It's a tough one, right? And fillers are kind of the obvious answer. But nonetheless, our number 6 is 7 Wonders Duel. We probably should put number 7. So we had the duel, but it didn't happen. But nonetheless, number 6 is 7 Wonders Duel. This is a 2-player version of 7 Wonders, and it's actually significantly heavier than 7 Wonders. And it's just it's a kind of a card pyramid game. You ever played like Pyramid Solitaire? It's a game where you are drafting these cards, but instead of normal drafting, you're drafting them out of a pyramid. And as you take cards, other cards will then become available. So much of this game and the strategy is trying to not give your opponent good cards. Basically trying to force them to reveal cards for you is like so much of the game.
You're really trying to control access to resources effectively, some cards being actual resource cards. So yeah, because the whole thing is like, if I uncover this card, you get first crack at it.
Yeah.
And that ain't fair.
It's not
you
good.
know? So,
and there's multiple ways to win in this game. You can have like a military victory, a science victory,
straight up points if you go to the end of the game.
Exactly. And so it's one of those things where there's many, many different things to pay attention to, many different things to like manage at the same time. You're also managing your resource because you want these bigger and better cards, because especially if you're going to the end of the game, this is what's happened to me many times in this game. Like, I'm going to go for a military victory, and I just don't get there. So I didn't focus on anything else.
Yeah,
so we get to the end of the game, and I get crushed because I'm like, I don't have any points. I was trying to do this thing, and you stymied me. Very tactical game, very, very fun game. And this is, again, one of the heavier games that you can play in 30 minutes. It's really, really fun, really good. You can just play over and over and over again. It's always different because the makeup of the cards and how they go into that pyramid is always different. It's just great.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a lot to explore. I can see you absolutely getting in a rivalry with a coworker with this one. You keep coming back and trying to best them and stuff. So it's one that we've enjoyed for a long time. There's expansions and things for it, so a lot to explore. And that's number 6, 7, Wonders Duel.
Let's get to number 5. Our number 5 is a social deduction game. Again, you can choose many social deduction games, which is why, again, get those likes in, because we have a whole separate list.
There's so many more.
We can do a whole list, like top 10 social deduction games to play on lunch break. But nonetheless, our favorite is
Werewords. Not trust your coworkers. Werewords, though, is what we're talking about.
Title. It's a clickbaity title. I love it. Werewords is our number 5. Werewords is essentially 20 questions with a traitor.
Yeah.
So basically, everyone will close their eyes, kind of werewolf style. And then everyone gets a secret role. Someone is going to be the mayor, who is going to be answering the yes or no questions. There's going to be a werewolf amongst the midst, and there's going to be a seer, and then everyone else is villagers. There's other roles too, but honestly,
keep it simple.
Just play it simple, especially on lunch break.
Yeah. Keep it
and
simple.
so basically, the mayor will choose a word that they're going to try to get people to guess to. So it could be like cabinet or something like that. And then everyone will close their eyes, and then the mayor chooses that.
Roles.
Exactly. And then the werewolf will get to see the word, and then the seer will get to see the word. And so then it just comes down to 20 questions, yes or no questions. Does it fit inside a house? The mayor would say yes. Is it in the kitchen? The mayor would say yes. Is it a cabinet? Wow, you did that so fast. You're so smart, Mike.
You're so smart.
But then the werewolf there is trying to ask questions to veer off of the answer.
Derail the conversation.
Whereas the seer is trying to get them back on track, but they don't know who each other is. Yeah. So at the end of the round, if the villagers got to the answer, the werewolf then reveals himself, says, I was the werewolf, and they try and guess who the seer was.
Yeah, if someone was asking too pointed questions, you're like,
does it rhyme with Babnit?
And you're like,
they're like, that's a weird question.
Why that question?
That's a weird first question.
Yeah, so like you can guess the seer. Alternatively, if you don't get the word, and you feel like someone kept asking weird, out of place questions, you can make a guess as to who you think the werewolf is. So there's multiple ways the game can kind of shake out.
Because the werewolf finds the seer, the werewolf wins. Even though the villagers got the question right, the werewolf wins. But again, if they lose, they then get to try and guess who the werewolf is.
A last second chance at the victory.
And if they find the werewolf, even though they lost, the villagers win. It's really fun. It works so well. You can choose like easy, medium, or hard words, and the hard words start getting like crazy. Really, I remember one time we had like structure, and it's like that's so hard.
Because like it was a thing where like everything is.
They're like,
is
it a building? And you're like,
yes.
Yes. They're like, is it a this? You're like
yes.
Yes. It's like it gets very weird. And so Werewords is so much fun. It also plays on an app, so like
it's all run by an app. Everything is run by. It makes life so
little
easy.
Tiles that are your roles. That's it. It's very small. It's really, really fun. Werewords are number 5. It's one of our favorite social deduction games. It's great.
So number 4 was mentioned in the intro. You know what, man? Sometimes it's fun to play a game that resembles what you're doing at lunch, is eating food. This is a bag of chips.
We just got this game. This game's great.
We just got this game. This is a like, it's a push your luck-ish. It's a managing expectations game. I don't know how quite to describe it.
It's very it's
weird.
A
game where you're gonna have all these chips in a bag, which is also the game container. And you're going to be pulling out different numbers of chips. It goes like 5, 4, 3, then 2. And you're going to get all these different objectives. And one might be like, you need to have 5 potato chips, just a plain potato chips. If you have 5 potato chips, you'll get 25 points at the end of the round. Okay, good.
Easy.
Another one might be more difficult, where it's like have more of the chicken type, which is the most rare kind of chip, than this kind. That'll give you a ton of points. But it's hard to do because there's not an even spread of chips. There are more of the plain potato chips. There's like 7 of those. There's only 3 of those chicken chips.
Yeah.
So as you draw out chips and you get a better idea of like what this array is going to look like at the end, you are going to be paring down the amount of objectives you have. You have 6 to start, then you're going to ditch 2 after the first kind of spread, the flop of chips comes out. And then you're going to discard another one, and you're ultimately going to end up with 3 objectives, 2 which will score you points, 1 if it's met will lose you points. Yeah. And so as things come out, you're just speculating.
You're like, well, there's no way this is happening. Get rid of that.
You're playing the odds. Yeah. So that's the kind of the push your luck bit. You're not like actually drawing out one more chip, and that could cause a bust or anything. But you're playing the odds. You're gambling in this one on what you think is going to be out there, and you try to go for riskier objectives that'll score you more points.
Because literally some of the objective cards are worth like 5 points. Some are worth 200.
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
It's all over the place. So sometimes you're like, okay, I'm gonna go for this one. If I get it, I'm gonna crush this round. But if I don't get it, then I'm gonna have like 5 points.
Yeah.
So like, it's really, really fun because again, you pull out 5 chips for that first round, and then you get rid of 2 cards. Then you pull out 4 chips, you get rid of 1 more card. You pull out like 3 chips, and so you're getting more and more information and less cards. And some cards are like, again, like worth like 1 point. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna have this one be my negative because even if it gets met, whatever, it doesn't matter. Right. And so there's a lot more strategy in terms of what to keep, what not to keep. And it's really, really fun. It's just this little push your luck in that you can teach to anyone, play in a couple minutes. It's so much fun. It's food related.
It's another one. It's another one that like will get you some distance based on the novelty.
Yes.
If you put out this thing, you're like, this is a board game. People are gonna be like, what? And then you actually pull out little chips and stuff. I think it's super charming, and that'll take you far. That'll probably get anyone to sit down and play.
Yeah.
And it's an easy game to understand because everything's laid out. It's like if you have 5 of this, or if you have 2 of this and 2 of that.
Yeah, you have
like,
more teriyaki than sour cream and onion.
Easy
like,
things to understand, you know? And it's really about risk management and assessment in the game. But I'm like, you know what? I love it that you're going to play a game that's based on food at lunch.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It's great. It's number 4. It's awesome. Number 3 is, I'm gonna say a new game. It's new to the US, and this is Scout.
Yes, this is a small little card game. It literally is, by Oink Games over here, and so it's in a tiny little box.
Yeah.
So it's super portable, plays up to 5, and this is what they call a ladder building game, where you are trying to play down cards that are more valuable than the person who just preceded you.
Yeah. So if I put down a 3,
I should put down any number higher than a 3, a 4, a 5, or something. But the numbers only go to 10. So what happens if you put a 10? I can play 2 or more cards, and I can play those either in a run, like a 1, 2, 3, or a 4, 5, 6, or what have you, or in sets, so 2 4s or 3 4s. Sets are worth more than runs. So you're trying to play a harder, a more valuable hand of cards down, and you're trying to get rid of all your cards. But this one has a few twists. One, mostly when you get a card, a hand of cards, you can organize them and get them all laid out nice.
Your 3s next to each other, your 4s next to each other,
This whole game is built on the fact that you cannot reorganize your cards. However they get dealt to you, you pick them up and you spread them out, and that is the order they must remain in.
Yeah.
You have the ability to flip your entire hand of cards because the numbers are not symmetrical.
Yeah.
It will be different on the other side, but it's all about organizing your hand via playing cards.
Because if I have an 8, a 4, and then an 8, if I can get that 4 played, now my 8s are next to each other, and now I can play a set of 8s, which is much, much stronger. Yeah. So much of it is trying to play out your hand playing out your cards to get your hand to be stronger.
Yeah, exactly right. So you're trying to kind of sequence what you play. But if someone plays something too valuable for you, and I don't have my cards organized just yet, and I can't play anything more valuable, you instead scout, where you will actually pick up one of the cards. You have to give them essentially a victory point for this.
Yeah.
You'll pick up one of their cards, and you can choose which direction it goes and where in your hand it goes. So now, if I had a 4 and a 6, and I scout for a 5, I can plop that 5 right in the middle. Now I have a 4, 5, 6, and I'm built for the future.
Yeah.
So it's all about kind of like that sequencing and stuff, and the whole idea that you can't reorganize your cards. I know that it gets in the brain of board gamers and messes with them, which makes me very happy.
It's hard to not start moving stuff around.
Because we're just really
hard.
used to doing it. And I love that it itches at your brain, in a fun way. And you're trying to figure out how do I strategically get rid of these cards and keep a strong hand, and it's a fun challenge.
Yeah, because the worst thing you can do a lot of times where I get stuck doing this, where I'll play down I'll have 5 cards in my hand, I'll have 4, 5, 6, 7, I'll boom, 4, and then I'm left with a 2.
You're like, how are you ever,
1, 2, and it's literally just
that?
And it's so hard to get rid of. There's so much strategy down and so you don't have to scout when you can't play. You can scout whenever. So sometimes you're like, you know what, this is going to give me a third 10. I'm going to scout this, give someone a victory point, even though I didn't technically have to.
There's
it's
a lot of those strategic points in the game where you could do a lot of interesting stuff to really set yourself up. And I imagine if people are good, they could be really good. But it's a quick game.
The rounds are quick. You can play a round in 5 minutes. You can kind of play. You're supposed to play for everyone to be the first player once. But really, you can play 1 or 2 games if you wanted to. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's a really solid game. We really enjoyed it. It's kind of in everyone's minds because it's so portable.
It's just good.
It's easy to explain. The types of actions are not complicated. There's not many things you can do, but there's a lot to explore there. So it's really kind of brilliant.
The only thing I will say for this, this is originally a game from Japan, and the game from Japan, they had plastic cards.
Yeah,
which I would
wish we
prefer
had
because the
those.
cards
They're gonna get gummed
and it's
up.
hard to
It's a
sleeve
$20
them.
game though.
Yeah,
but-
it's hard to sleeve them because you constantly flip them upside down, which means the sleeve part is down. So it's kind of a weird thing. I do wish they had plastic cards, but that's a small nitpick. Right?
I know it might be almost worth seeking out the original. Just
I know,
for the
right?
plastic
I'd
cards.
love to.
But Scout
This
is
one's got so
super
much
fun.
theme, too.
It's a circus theme, sort of, and that's amazing. And I
Sure.
love that they made the attempt. I do not care about the theme, but I love that there's one on there. If they didn't have any theme, I'd be upset about it.
Yeah,
So
sure.
honestly, I'm like,
It's
you know what?
colorful.
The little circus down the front, it's beautiful.
It's a little colorful thing.
But Scout is number 3.
Let's get number 2. Number 2 is one of Mike's favorite games. You
Hey.
love this filler. This is Draftosaurus.
Draftosaurus is so fun.
It's a great way to teach drafting.
It's a great way to teach drafting. It's harder to get messed up. And this is a
Yes.
game where you are literally taking these little dinosaur meeples.
Very cute.
And you're passing them around, and you get to choose one from the array that you have in your hand at a time to place into your little dinosaur zoo.
Yeah.
And different paddocks require different things. So one might be, you can only have one type of dinosaur. Once you choose, if you choose Stegosaurus, they gotta be all Stegosaurus in there. The more you get, the better. Another paddock's just the opposite. You can't repeat the same dinosaur twice. You wanna have a nice array. Other ones you wanna put pairs of and stuff. So again, easy things to understand, but I like that it's just as simple as choose a little dino meeple that are all adorable, place it down, pass the dinos to your left.
Yep.
There's a restrictor where if you roll a die, it'll tell you it has to be in one of the forest paddocks. There's 3 there, or one of the rocks, or on the left half of the board, or the right. It gives you some restrictions, but if you're the one that rolled that die, you can place anywhere.
Yes.
So I like that they give you just a little extra added, like, oh, I really wanted to put that over there.
Yeah.
What do I do now? It gives you one little bit of thinking, to have to do, and then also getting the array of dinosaurs you get, you're like, well, these aren't really part of my plan, so what do I do here?
Yeah.
There's a couple of decision points, but that's it. And it's adorable, it's charming.
Yeah.
There's 2 different
Quick,
sides of the
too, yeah.
boards. It's quick, so I can teach this game and play 2 games, playing both boards once, all of
20
that in
minutes?
15 or 20
Yeah,
minutes.
like-
I'm like, that's amazing. You get this beautiful experience in such a short period of
Yeah.
time, and it's something that's utterly charming.
Yeah.
I will talk about this game to the end of time.
Yeah, it's really good. And again, it really teaches drafting because card drafting always gets messed up. Because you have a handful of meeples, you really can't
It's
give
more
them to the next
tactile.
person until it makes drafting easier for whatever reason. Because drafting, I feel like, is so hard to teach new people for whatever reason. And this one just makes it smooth. Like I said, Mike said it's quick. There's 2 different sides of the board. One side is slightly more difficult than the other.
And it's wintry.
And it's just great. Draftosaurus is so much fun. The Dino Meeples are great. It's a great way to be like, again, you're kind of like, whoa, this is. I talked about this in Metagame Minute yesterday, but it's just like showing people that board games aren't what they think they are, and expanding their knowledge of what a board game can be. This is a
They're
great
not just
game
things
for
with paper
that.
money on a table that makes everyone
Yeah,
mad.
it's like, whoa, you have a hand of little dinosaurs. It's
Awesome.
very, very cool. Love Draftosaurus. It's number 2, but Mikey, let's get number 1.
So number 1 is a game that we only finally got to play recently. We've heard about it forever, and it is,
so
I
good.
think, one of the most satisfying games
Yes.
ever. It's Project L.
I honestly think this is one of the best games to get people into board games.
I agree. I think that it hits on something that's familiar because you have Tetris pieces.
Tetris-y vibes, yeah.
Tetris-y vibes. It's colorful to pieces, and the fact that they took the care in the production to make these dual layer puzzle boards. So you have this little board that you're trying to fill in. So basically it's a black or a white board with this little inset, and you will have completed the puzzle if there's no spaces within that little inlay left over.
Yeah, you're putting these little acrylic tiles in there to fill out the area.
And the acrylic tiles are nice. They got
They're
a nice
very
little clickiness to them. They're beautifully bright. The game is stark. It's just kind of black and white, so the color really pops on there. So this is one that I'm like, this looks really cool.
Yeah.
And it's very satisfying because when you complete a puzzle and nothing moves and it's all great and you get to dump that out and you get this kind of little engine build where you will get a new piece every time you complete a puzzle. That puzzle may and usually is worth a point or 2 or more. And you can start to upgrade your pieces. So you can start to build out these puzzles using fewer pieces, which is more efficient and stuff. So you also get that kind of little ramp up like an engine builder.
Yeah.
That's super satisfying. Everything about this game is satisfying. Everything fits in perfectly.
Yeah.
It all is tactilely delicious. You know what I mean? Like everything about it satisfies.
Yeah, because it's just a little puzzle, and it's a puzzle that everyone understands.
Easy to
There's
understand.
this void in the middle there.
Make
Fill
it
it in
full.
with these pieces.
That's it.
That's the game, and it's so simple. And it has no theme. The theme is L. I don't know. There's literally no
Shapes.
theme at all.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, like, that's not a way to get people in, but it's just so simple and it's so like tactile, like you said, so satisfying to fill in these puzzles. I really think you can get like dang near anyone to play it. It's such a good way to bring people into modern board games, polyomino tile laying games, whatever, because you could do that and be like, hey, you remember that? We were filling this area. Now let's play Barren Park. It's another step up. It's kind of a similar thing. We have these polyomino tiles, and now we're filling in, but now you're filling in a zoo. And you can start working up and up and up.
Yep.
And Project L is just so
it's a great
good.
launching
it
pad
looks
for
good,
stuff.
and it's just like, again, you could just play it with anyone. It's so quick. It's so much fun, and it's just great, and it's the perfect game for lunch.
Just satisfies.
Yeah, it's the perfect. You can eat your sandwich and be like, oh, I'm gonna put this one here. It's just casual. It's so easy and nice and relaxing. It's just so darn good.
Yep, and that's why it's the top of our list.
Boom.
Boom. At least the list that we made this time. There's so many more games we want to talk about.
Make sure to thumb this up. We want to get to 1,200 likes. Please thumb it up because we'd like to. I think we had like 30 or so games, and we probably could add another 10 or 20 more.
Absolutely.
So we'd love to do a part 2. Let us know down in the comments below if you want to see that. But yeah, what games do you like to play on lunch break? Are there any games that fit in this category?
Let us know in the comments.
What's one of your favorite things to play in that kind of like 30-minute period with some friends, with some coworkers? Let us know. And at the end of all these videos, we always have our Patreon scroll pass. I want to give a big shout out to we are Patreon powered, as many can't say. It's a good slogan. But thank you so much to our pages. We appreciate it. Link down in the description below if you want to support us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Until next time, everybody, I am Mike.
I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murph, and we will catch y'all in the next Top 10.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching that top 10 games to play on lunch break. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Let's get to that 1,200 so we can do a part 2. We want to give a big shout out to our channel sponsors, Restoration Games, Lucky Duck Games, and of course, Board Game Geek. And our month sponsor for the month of August, a Kickstarter backer, was E Paladin, who all he said were like, E Paladin, how do you want us to shout you out? How do you want to be known to the world? He said, I just want to make sure it's known that I'm one of the OG sponsors, that I was there since the beginning, and that is true. E Paladin's been here since the beginning. We absolutely love him to death. Thank you so much for being our sponsor for the month of August. We really appreciate it. And you make sure to check out other top 10s over the right side of your screen there, and like, subscribe, do all that stuff.